Alrighty, guys. Good afternoon to you all here. A happy Thursday, the July 10th here, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. And we've got a wild day for severe weather today and tomorrow here. A level 3 enhanced risk for portions of Iowa and Nebraska today, as well as a slight risk outside of that. And then a big old tornado risk potentially that extends from Kansas City all the way up to Detroit, Michigan tomorrow. So lots of severe weather over the next 48 hours expected. We'll be in full force doing live weather coverage all day today, all day tomorrow, giving you guys alerts, weather information you need to know to get to your safe place, all of that stuff, etc. I will ask you guys, make sure you go and watch the recent video that I just posted this morning as well, talking about the Texas update. It's just really infuriating what's going on with our weather world right now and why it just a lot of different things. So make sure you go watch that. There's going to be a little bit of a weather rant that goes on with that there, but I wanted to get some things off my chest, talk from a meteorological perspective because people still don't understand what happened in Texas, as well as just in general with our flooding events that we've been having over the last couple of weeks. So go check that video out after this or before this, whatever you decide to do, and just be weather aware, share it out if you're able to. Just a lot of factual information in there. It's crazy to me how people still think that the Texas event was man-made or weather manipulated, and it definitely was not. So that video will break down everything you guys need to know. We can talk more about it in the future, all that, etc. But I want to go ahead and get to what's going to be happening here. We do have a complex of thunderstorms this morning that is moving its way into portions of Wisconsin and Minnesota. This is actually really important to this afternoon setup because once this area of storms moves through, it leaves behind an outflow boundary or boundary in place that's going to help enhance tornado potential later on tonight. So if you were in Des Moines, Iowa, all the way over to Omaha, Nebraska, we haven't talked about you guys in a while. We haven't had a big time tornado risk in quite some time. I wouldn't say big time tornado risk, but a mediocre to medium tornado risk in quite some time. We're really going to have to watch out for those supercells that initiate today. Could see even a strong tornado maybe on the table if that does in fact happen. So we will have the threat for hurricane force winds today, hail up to 2 to 3 inches in diameter, and a couple of tornadoes, which some could be potentially strong if that does in fact happen. So this outflow boundary that's left behind this morning through this afternoon is very, very important. Outside of that, though, most of the United States in a general thunderstorm risk or non-general thunderstorm risk. We're seeing a lot of quietness this morning through this mid-afternoon hours here around lunchtime across much of the U.S. here. A boundary is still in place along the northeast here, where we'll see a conditional risk for some wind and some hail out there today and tomorrow. General thunderstorms popping up down here in the southeast. We are going to have an expansion of some heavy rainfall down into the Florida Panhandle once again, where we could see rain in excess of 6 to 10 inches over the next couple of days through early next week. We'll have to watch that for you guys as well. The West Coast being very, very quiet as typical, high pressure dominating over there, but we're really going to be more watching the severe weather that's going to be happening today and tomorrow here. And we'll go ahead and start out with the level 3 enhanced risk. That's why I waited to make this video until a little bit later so we could get that upgraded risk in. I knew it was going to happen, just kind of wanted to wait for it to physically get on there to talk to you guys about it. But we have 4 different areas we're watching today. A marginal risk for wind and hail back up here into North Dakota, Montana, and Minnesota. Very low wind risk, level 1 risk out of 5. A marginal and a slight risk up here from eastern Ohio back through Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, up into portions of New York and up towards Maine. Level 2 slight risk for wind and hail, for wind up to 70 miles per hour, hail up to 1 to 2 inches in diameter up towards there. And then another marginal risk for North Carolina down to Georgia. Wind and hail will be the primary threats in this region. This is our main region to watch here. And this is going to start around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, maybe just a little bit before. And then we've had a couple severe thunderstorm warnings down in Colorado this afternoon so far. But most of this is going to get going around 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, kind of grow upscale into a line of storms. Eventually, at some point, we'll have some embedded supercells, but this is the area I really want to watch tonight. If you live in Omaha, Nebraska, Norfolk, Lincoln, Des Moines, we've really got to watch this outflow boundary because we can get strong tornadoes to, in fact, happen off of this. Not saying that's what's going to happen, but we've seen this happen in the past. Anytime these residential outflow or these residual outflow boundaries set up, we can get strong winds in excess of 75 to 90 miles per hour, large hail, and then the threat for tornadoes, some being strong. So if you were in that enhanced risk today, it's slight risk or marginal risk, and any risk today, you need to have weather alerts on your phones and know where to go when you get warnings. We'll be live covering this afternoon for you guys, giving you alerts as things happen. Just a really kind of weird feeling on today, so we'll have to see how today goes, but you need to be weather aware regardless of that. The Storm Prediction Center has upgraded to a 5% tornado risk and expanded our 2% tornado risk. So if you think that these risk zones are small, percentage-wise, this covers a massive area, so the odds of there actually being a tornado in those risk zones are actually pretty high if you look at it from a radius perspective. But we do have a 2% tornado risk in the green here from Peoria, Illinois, back up into portions of La Crosse, Madison, Wisconsin, getting just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. They're getting towards most of Iowa, Des Moines, Lincoln, Omaha, Nebraska. You're in the 5%, and that 5% tornado is being introduced for Norfolk, as well as Omaha, Sioux City, Council Bluffs, Iowa, Fort Dodge, and Fremont, Nebraska. A lot of these areas have seen historic tornadoes over the last 2 to 3 years with these type of outflow boundary setups. So we're going to have to watch this very closely for those supercells. We're also going to have that enhanced risk today for wind, that hatched wind threat, 30% chance of seeing wind in the red there, all the way down to the hatched region in the yellow here. So basically from Des Moines, Iowa, all the way down towards Garden City, Kansas, getting into eastern Colorado, we have the threat for winds of 75 or 90 miles per hour, 75 to 90 miles per hour. Outside of the hatched area there in the yellow and in the 5% elsewhere, we have winds up to 70 miles per hour. And then we do have a hatched hail threat for hail exceeding 2 to 3 inches in diameter today. We could see that in portions of northeastern Nebraska, western and northwestern Iowa. Outside of that, everybody else has a 1 to 2 inch hail potential, at least inch-wise there. So we'll be talking about that here in the stream in just a little bit. We do have another risk zone for tomorrow, a marginal risk that extends basically from Boston, Massachusetts, all the way down to South Carolina and into North Carolina here for a wind threat. Winds up to 60 miles per hour will be possible there with those risk zones. And then we got a huge marginal. This is actually one of the biggest marginal risks we've had in quite some time that extends basically from Canada all the way down to Mexico and then east towards the Great Lakes here with a level 2 slight risk at play. We are going to have to watch Kansas City all the way to Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, getting in towards Des Moines, Milwaukee again tomorrow for the threat for an isolated tornado for any outflow boundaries that's set up, as well as a damaging wind threat and a hail threat. Wouldn't be shocked to see tomorrow get upgraded to an enhanced. We'll see if that happens tonight through tomorrow, but definitely on the table. 2% tornado risk from Kansas City, Missouri, all the way up into Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit. Wind threat at 15 and 5% for winds up to 70, and then the hail threat at 5% as well. We're not done after that. We do have a day 3 risk zone, 2 double barrel marginal risk for your day 3. This goes for your Saturday forecast here. We will be watching the threat for a marginal risk for wind and hail back up here in the Great Lakes, eastern portions of the Midwest, and then another marginal risk up here as well, back down into Texas, getting into areas where we've seen flooding. So we are going to have to watch for flooding once again into Texas. General thunderstorm risk outside of that for everybody else in the light green. So not anything too crazy right now for Friday, but that probably will trend up as we look for another storm system that will be coming in, introducing on Saturday and Sunday. So we'll talk more about that in the future here. We're going to give an idea of what today looks like on radar, and today is really uptrended in terms of tornado potential. Like I said earlier, we're really going to have to watch for that outflow boundary, as I've said multiple times, that is left behind from that line of storms this morning. But showers and thunderstorms, supercells will be initiating around 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. You can see those little bean shapes popping up kind of across the board here. Anything that gets initiated here in eastern Nebraska will definitely have to watch for a tornado potential here, as well as a strong tornado potential. Any of these little discrete beans popping out here in front of that cluster of storms could produce an outflow boundary, a tornado, which would not be good. So we'll have to watch that very closely. Cluster of storms growing upscale into a line segment by around 6 to 7 p.m., 8 p.m. tonight. We'll have a line of storms moving through portions of Iowa, getting towards Des Moines area, Winterset area here. We'll have to watch Greenfield as well for a chance of winds up to 75 to 90 miles per hour, as well as hail. And then most of those thunderstorms will die off through the early morning hours tomorrow, leaving behind another boundary for tomorrow's setup. And we'll talk more about tomorrow's setup in the stream tonight and in tomorrow's video. I do want to do a brief overrun of the tornado parameters that we're going to see here for today. We've got a pretty strong corridor here of tornado parameters. So if these storms can tap into that shear that's going to be in place with that outflow boundary, we will have a shot at seeing an isolated strong tornado today. Never can rule that out when you have parameters that still like this, as well as your low-level shear that'll be in place. So something we'll be watching, and then that'll transition eastward and weaken with time through the overnight hours. We'll see that tornado threat rip off. We do look at the instability values again for today. Instability is maximized around 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram, especially up near the surface low here. We'll be watching out for that. So abundant instability for today. We'll take a look at our capping inversion as well to see if we have any capping for today, and it does look to be that there is not really going to be a capping inversion. Those storms will break through that cap around 3-4 o'clock this afternoon, and then, that'll be that. So we'll be watching very, very closely for those storms today. We'll probably start live stream coverage around 2 Central Time. That's kind of the time frame. So really here within the next hour as I get this video published, you guys will have a live stream going on for you guys there. Let's talk about what we're going to be seeing here over the next couple of days. We can talk about our global pattern here. You can see a high pressure system back down here in the Four Corners with some ridging over top of that, with some troughing over top of that ridge. Got a low level, not a low level, but a shortwave trough that's embedded here that's going to be working its way over the Rockies going into tomorrow and going into Saturday for our next setup. We've got a sub connection jet stream coming out of Canada. You can see that shear that's in place for today with that mesoscale setup for today, where we do have a little bit of shear in place, some westerly shear. Can it help enhance some outflow boundary tornadoes today? Something we're watching very closely. Going into Friday and Saturday here, you see a shortwave trough that's going to swing in, and I really want to watch Minnesota and the Dakotas and Wisconsin going into Saturday and Sunday. I think at least a marginal risk, if not a slight risk, could be at play for these areas going into Saturday and Sunday. You can see a little bit of a dip in a jet stream here, maybe some low and severe weather up here as well, getting into the Great Lakes and Northern Ohio Valley going into Saturday here as well, and then maybe even a potential for some severe weather down here into Friday and Saturday as well, down into the Four Corners into West Texas. Going into Sunday and Monday of next week, we really start to see much of our troughing shift here, and we're going to see general thunderstorms really much for the most of the United States, down in the southern plains here, down into the southeast, getting to the Ohio Valley. But where our main severe weather setup is going to be is anywhere where this zonal jet stream is kind of setting up, meridional to zonal jet stream here, and that's going to allow for some severe weather maybe going into early next week across the high plains, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin. You guys will continue to see that severe weather through much of next week. I really think this pattern will continue to, be in place through much of next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, getting into Friday here, and then eventually going into late next week, we are going to have to still watch for some type of potential low-end threat for a tropical system down here into the Gulf. The models are still kind of all over the place with that. As we get more information, as NHC potentially highlights something, we'll talk more about that. I will let you guys know as well, we're not expecting any tropical development through the end of this week. We're going to have a lot of Saharan dust that's working its way tonight into much of these areas here, so it's going to prohibit any tropical storm development. But I want you guys to know we are watching a big impulse wave that could bring us, our MJO is going to be setting up in the Atlantic, which is basically a uptrend in tropical potential development going into the month of August. And usually when we get into August, September, October is when we really see tropical development set up. So if you are not prepared for hurricane season, as you should be already, you need to be. I do think the tropics are going to wake up significantly as we go into August, September, and October, and we will be in full force covering those events as we start to get potential waves setting up. So we'll have a lot more tropic updates over the next 3 to 4 weeks as we get ready for those events. So we'll keep you guys updated on that as always. I appreciate y'all for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you guys in about an hour and a half for some weather coverage tonight. And other than that, y'all get prepared, be safe, and we'll see you in the next one.